Greetings nerds and virgins, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be going through UFC fighters that have died, rest in peace. But before we start, can you like and subscribe? I'm getting views, but I want some subscribers as well since I'm building a community here. So please subscribe to hop on the shadow train. Choo choo! Hop on the shadow train. But yeah, first of all we got Anthony Rumble Johnson, the hardest hitting fighter in UFC history. Rumble died in November of 2022 at 38 years old. Although he was 38, as we all know, in heavyweight and light heavyweight that's equivalent to being 31 years old at lightweight. After losing to Daniel Cormier in 2017, Rumble did have a 4-year layoff and said he retired, but we got to see the magic Rumble Johnson one last time in the Bellator Grand Prix. His first opponent was originally meant to be Yoel Romero, but Yoel pulled out and a Brazilian called Jose Augusto with an 8-2 record filled in. Augusto dropped Rumble in the first round, and I remember watching that fight live, and I think Rumble could only use one hand for whatever reason. I think it was because his other hand was broke. But anyways, in round 2, we saw Rumble Johnson starch Jose Augusto and move on to the second round of the Grand Prix, where he would fight Vadim Nemkov. Unfortunately, the illness that killed Rumble forced him out of that fight, and he ended up dying from an organ failure which came from his cancer. The next UFC fighter that died is one of my best friend's favorite fighter. It's Elias Theodorou. Elias Theodorou was a Canadian UFC fighter known for his very unique fighting style. He actually had quite a good run in the UFC where he gathered 3 wins before losing his first UFC fight to Thiago Santos, which isn't a bad loss at all. He then beat Sam Alvey and Cesar Ferreira, 2 pretty good names, before losing to Brad Tavares. Again, not a bad name. He then gathered 3 more wins, including a win over Eric Anders. I'm sure you guys know who that is. Then lost to Derek Brunson. After the loss to Derek Brunson, Elias Theodorou weirdly got cut from the UFC, which a lot of fans were confused about because it's not like he lost to bums. He was losing to top level guys, and he also had a lot more wins than losses. I suspect though he was probably cut because his fight versus Derek Brunson was a bit boring. After getting cut from the UFC, he gathered up 3 more wins in the minor leagues before dying from stage 4 colon cancer that spread to his liver on September 11 in 2022 at age 34. Man, this guy was a really good fighter and did Canada proud and his family proud. He died on a 3-fight win streak that just makes you wonder maybe he could have gone to the PFL and ended up winning the $1 million tournament or something. Next up we got the guy who actually inspired me to make this video since I read his story recently and how he died, and it was actually pretty insane. We got Ryan Jimmo. So Ryan Jimmo, although not having the best UFC career, a lot of you guys probably know him for his robot celebration after getting a 7th-second knockout against Anthony Perosh. Ryan Jimmo had a UFC record of 3 wins and 4 losses and fought guys like Jimmy Manuwa and OSP. Now, his cause of death is actually pretty sad. Basically, what happened was, after a night of drinking, the guy who killed Ryan Jimmo, known as Getshell, climbed behind the wheel of his pickup truck at about 2 a.m. on June 26, 2016. He was tailgating a Jeep along Wyatt Avenue. When the Jeep pulled into a parking lot, Getshell followed. Ryan Jimmo, 34, got out of the Jeep and approached the truck. Angry words were exchanged as Jimmo then walked back to the Jeep. Getshell backed up, then sped towards him. The pickup hit Jimmo and then ran over him, and Getshell fled the scene and later hid the truck and reported his license plate had been stolen. He turned himself into police 2 days later. Hours before he was killed, Jimmo had proposed to his girlfriend Roxy Reese as well. Too excited to sleep, they went on a drive. Truly a sad way to go out. Next up, we got Stephan Bonnar, an absolute UFC legend. I'm sure I don't need to give you guys an introduction on this guy. Pretty sure he's a Hall of Famer. If not, he's a future Hall of Famer. And before I go into his cause of death, can we give some props to Tyron Woodley? I remember not long before Stephan Bonnar died, his house caught on fire and basically all his belongings got destroyed. Tyron Woodley started a GoFundMe for Bonnar and raised so much money, so respect to Woodley for that. That didn't have anything to do with how Bonnar died. I just found it coincidental how his house caught on fire not long before he died. Bonnar died in Las Vegas, December 22nd in 2022 from an accidental fentanyl overdose. So may he rest in peace, an absolute legend and pioneer of the game. Some other UFC fighters that died, we got Felipe Colores, who got hit by a bus in Brazil. He's notably fought Chase Hooper, and he was only 29 years old when the incident happened. We also got Evan Tanner, which I'm sure you all know the story. He was in the desert walking for miles before dying from heat exposure. I recommend go watching the Fight Pass documentary on that. It's a good watch. Another UFC legend who died was Kimbo Slice, who obviously was known for his backyard brawls. Kimbo died from congestive heart failure. And the final UFC fighter that died in the UFC is Kevin Randleman. Obviously another legend and Hall of Famer in the UFC, one of the most explosive fighters we've ever seen. He died from pneumonia. May he rest in peace. But yeah guys, those were all the UFC fighters that died so far. If I missed anyone, let me know in the comments below. Rest in peace to those legends, and remember to like and subscribe to hop on the Shadow Train. Choo choo! Hop on the Shadow Train. But yeah, see you at the top!
They tried to break me, but you couldn't tear me apart. I've got a fire inside, gonna ignite and restart. I'm rising up higher than before. With every step I take, I'm closing in on the score.